What are you going to do about it? After watching the latest display from the communistic plutocrats and their paid-for propagandists, and remind you, paid for by the common people's money, these propagandists, along with these communistic plutocrats, are calling for all forms of free expression to be controlled and for the internet to squash speech and expression these plutocrats deem hateful or unwanted. These plutocrats have already detoured free speech on college campuses, and when one chooses to speak against these plutocrats, these common people are shouted down or beaten up or both by the armies of the communists, Antifa. They are taught by communist professors that, as Lenin said, not believing in force is the same as not believing in gravity. In their minds, quote, a means can be justified only by its ends, but the end in its turn needs to be justified, also said by Lenin. These institutions are funded by the plutocrats with the common people's money. When I say plutocrats, I mean the wealthy on both sides of the political system. If this wasn't true, then the Democrats and Republicans that disagreed would try to defund or shut these institutions down, but this is not the case. The plutocrats on both sides are heading for the same goal, communism, and eventually an oligarchy. Both sides subscribe to Mao Zedong's philosophy on communism in learning institutions, quote, letting 100 flowers blossom and 100 schools of thought contend is the policy for promoting progress in the arts and sciences and a flourishing socialist culture in our land. So letting a few universities or institutions teach socialism and communism has now spread nationwide, which is another one of Mao Zedong's ideas. Quote, we communists are like seeds and the people are like the soil. Wherever we go, we must unite with the people, take root, and blossom among them. End quote. And blossom it has to huge numbers while common people lay dormant and are distracted by sports, movies, owning boats, fancy cars, more than one house. As you are distracted, these plutocrats, communists, are continuously moving forward. As Lenin said, quote, the best way to control the opposition is to lead it ourselves, end quote. As common people, we have to inform our youth, as Joseph Story says, quote, let the American youth never forget that they possess a noble inheritance brought by the toils and sufferings and blood of their ancestors, and capacity, if wisely improved and faithfully guarded, of transmitting to their latest posterity all the substantial blessings of life, the peaceful enjoyment of liberty, property, religion, and independence. End quote. But be aware that these plutocrats and communists, as Winston Churchill said, some people's idea of free speech is that they are free to say what they like, but if anyone says anything back, this is an outrage. End quote. And this is occurring every day, and when the logical voice of the common people prove wrong the communist rhetoric, then the common people are called names, as Socrates says, quote, when a debate is lost, slander becomes the tool of the losers, end quote. And when the communists and plutocrats realize that the argument is lost, they turn to promising the people everything for free, and the people fall for it. Thomas Jefferson said, quote, a government big enough to give you everything you want is strong enough to take everything you have, end quote. And these promises are made to offer safety and stability, but Benjamin Franklin warns us, quote, they that can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety, end quote. As all the signs of communism are upon us, common people, what are you going to do about it? Are common people going to still allow themselves to be distracted by entertainment, or maybe the common people want things to be the same and ignore the communist changes moving at light speed around them, or maybe the common people will make videos but are really more concerned about how many views and how many donations they receive, or whatever other excuses can be conjured up. Quote, the world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything. End quote. Albert Einstein. You and I, the common people, are not alone. We are an incredible force that holds unlimited skill, intelligence, patriotism, honor, virtue, knowledge, love, compassion, and when pushed, unmatched ferocity. So the time has come to stand against this plutocratic communistic government, trying to be forced upon the common people. Samuel Adams said, quote, "If virtue and knowledge are diffused among the people that will never be enslaved, this will be their great security." End quote. So as common people, and the largest and most powerful group of people in America, we need to do as Thomas Jefferson said, quote, "What country can preserve its liberties if its rulers are not warned from time to time that their people preserve the spirit of resistance?" End quote. Time for resistance is now. Let the common people break the stronghold these plutocrats and communists have on us. Time to form our own party that represents the common people and not be slaves to the plutocrats and communist parties of the Republicans, Democrats, and Independents, and return this country back to a true republic controlled by the people for the people. The common people will have to form a protection force to protect our rallies and gatherings against forces such as the Communist Army Antifa, which will try to disrupt these rallies, and the local and state police will allow them to do this as they have in the past. Remember, the state and local police are the security force for the corporation and only there to protect the officers of the corporation, not the members, the common people. It's time for a reset. You can either continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome, or do as Jefferson said, quote, "At least once every 20 years was a medicine necessary for the sound health of government." End quote. I stand with Jefferson's notion, and I stand with the common people.